Morning you guys, it's Karen, and a bit of a different kind of video for me today because I did think I needed to film something today and sort of, got myself ready, and I just thought I just don't feel like it. I don't feel like being like I'm not passionate about what I'm talking about. I want to do a video on this. This is a automatic rotating curling tong, and I am really passionate about it, but I'm just feeling flat today and kind of a bit sad, and I've decided I've got post 50-year-old birthday blues amongst other things. There's lots of stress going on at the moment and lots of, I suppose, reasons for me to be down. And so I thought, you know what, I might feel better just chatting to you guys, so why don't I just do a video and tell you guys what's going on, and if I feel better by the end of it, I can do a video about the curling tong. So, I had my 50th birthday at the beginning of June. We had a week off work. It was a really nice week, I have to say, but there were quite a few hiccups in it. I was down on myself at the time for not having lost the weight I wanted, but I was also trying to be kinder to myself and remember that, these migraines have been as bad as they've ever been for the last year. I barely get a day off. I get maybe 1 or 2 days a month with no migraine. So it makes it very, very difficult to healthy. It makes it very, very difficult to exercise and that kind of thing, So I was trying to be a bit easy on myself, but the actual migraine medication doesn't work. I've tried different types of migraine medication, and actually my neurologist always was laughing because I've said I've never been 100% sure it's migraines, and it's like almost like what will it take to convince you? And I'm like, well, migraine medication doesn't even work for it, And he's like, you have got classic migraines, and I think it's because my headache is not always like so bad that I have to lie in a dark room with my eye mask on. It's like that a lot, but the headache is not always like that. I often am dizzy and lots of other symptoms, and he said there's a lot of people with migraines when migraine medication doesn't work for them. Now, I can't take anti-inflammatories, so I can't take like aspirin or ibuprofen or anything like that because of my stomach, and plain old paracetamol doesn't work for a migraine that well. It does help the headache a little bit, but it's one of the things that you can only take. They reckon, well, what the recommended amount is 15 times a month, absolute maximum, to take paracetamol. And the first thing when you see a neurologist with migraine is you have to stop all your medication, because you have to rule out medication overuse headache. So basically, if you use too much paracetamol, too much codeine, too much Tramadol, any of those kind of things, then you will end up with a migraine anyway. It will end up worsening the migraine. So I have found something that does work for my migraines, and it's Tramadol, but I'm only allowed to take that 2 or 3 times a week maximum. And it's difficult to work out which days to take it. Kev and I normally sit down at the weekends and go, right, okay, when is Watson, my dog, going to be home, because he's very high energy, needs a lot of walking, and he does go to the walker, but he doesn't go to the walker all day, all the time. Then if I've got appointments, if I need to drive somewhere, all that kind of thing, we have to work out, right, okay, I'm going to take it on that day. What day are you working from home? Because my husband can sometimes work from home. So yeah, it can be really overwhelming to try and decide which days I'm going to feel awful and which days I can give myself some relief. And with the Tramadol, I only take 1, and it takes an hour or so at least to kick in, and sometimes works, doesn't always work, and when it does work, it works for like 3 or 4 hours. So it's not like a full day of relief. Oh God, I really didn't want to do a video just moaning. I should have put like a warning at the beginning of this that it's going to be a moan, because I know people appreciate that I'm normally very positive about kind of all the things I'm dealing with health-wise, but it's overwhelming to decide that, to go, right, okay, I'm really looking forward to that day because I can take a pain relief tablet and I will get relief for 2 or 3 hours. But it's also really tricky to know when to take it, because like at the weekends, I try and save it for the weekends if I can, so that I can enjoy like our family walks. But if I get up and I feel okay, it's like, right, okay, how long do I wait to take it? Because if I have my breakfast and then take it, it tends to take longer to work, you know. And sometimes we've got in the car and gone off on a walk, and then 10 minutes into the walk, I'm so dizzy I can barely walk, and we have to find somewhere for me to sit down. Kev goes off and gets the car and comes back to get me, and it's just, you know, kind of spoiled. And for those of you that follow me, I talk a lot about my migraines, or more about my migraines, on my Life as a Zebra channel, but I also on there talk about other things related to my Ehlers-Danlos. So I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, and so the other things I deal with are bladder issues, which are fairly under control, I have to say, thank goodness. They're really well under control at the moment due to the supplements I'm taking. But I have arthritis in a lot of my joints, and my knees are the worst ones, so I'm quite limpy a lot of the time as well. And so these things are kind of in the background, if you like, but there can be days where it's like my back's hurting, my knees are hurting, and I've got a migraine, and it's like, it's so difficult. That's just daily life. But we have organised to have our kitchen replaced. Kev got a bonus from work, and we decided that we would use the money to get a new kitchen. I never ever imagined that I would be somebody that, in fact, I was saying this to Kev, I never imagined I'd be somebody that could afford a new kitchen. And then I'm saying, well, I can't afford a new kitchen. It's Kev getting a bonus. You know, I don't even work. I'm very lucky that he is in a company where he gets the bonus, you know. Even if I was still working for the NHS, we don't get bonuses. You didn't get a bonus at all in the NHS. So it's a really, really nice thing that's happening. But unfortunately, the timing of it with other things has worked out to be extremely stressful, and obviously wondering how am I going to cope with the noises of the kitchen refit, you know, because there's going to be drilling, banging, noise of people talking, like the things that hurt my head. I have noise phobia is a big thing for me, so when I have a bad migraine, or when I have a migraine every day, noises, even the kettle boiling can sound really loud, you know. Somebody whistling makes me want to do them physical damage, you know. And so I'm like, how am I going to cope with that? So I was like, I'm going to have to try the week before to sort of save up some of my medication, so I can maybe have a couple of extra that week. So that was one concern. But then Kev got told he was going away on a business trip to Rotterdam. So on top of the kitchen being installed, Kev is going to be here for the first day, but then he's going away to Rotterdam. So it's going to be down to me to try and supervise this kitchen refit, which there's been so many issues with sizes, and, you know, no, that's not the size of we're putting a kind of worktop extension, we've not got enough worktop space, and that's not the right cupboard there, and you need to move that left, you know, that I'm just, oh my goodness, how I'm going to do that, I don't know. Then the third complication, and the thing that's probably making me sad, is that Watson has been poorly again. So firstly, he got, in the week of my birthday, he started limping, and we found another lump. So we immediately took him to the vet, and I didn't put anything about that on Instagram or whatever, you know. I was like, just see what happens. The lump came back as being nothing serious. It was just another lipoma, just another fatty lump, and his limp went away. It had pretty much gone by the time we went to the vet, so that was fine. Things went back to normal. However, the following week, he started limping again on a different leg, and we found another lump. And this lump that we found is in his right armpit, and that's where he had his first tumour. So his first tumour was in his armpit, second one was on his neck and the top of his head. So the fact that it's in the first tumour site is very worrying. So we immediately again went to the vet. They tested his leg and whatnot and found that his shoulder, he's very reactive to his shoulder. Got given some drugs for it, you know. He's like me, he can't take anti-inflammatories, it upsets his tummy, so he has to have this paracetamol and codeine. I think that's upsetting his tummy as well. But we left it for a few days, and he was just getting worse. The medication was making no difference at all, and it should have helped it. It should have just started getting better as soon as he got some pain relief, but he was actually getting worse. And he went on a walk and was being grumpy with other dogs, which he's not normally like that at all. He's normally very, very patient. He didn't want to go on a walk. I'd take him out across the road and he'd just lie down and be like, no, I want to come home. But then when he was home, he wanted to go out. You know, I think he wanted to go on a walk, but when he was out, it was like, this is hurting me too much. So we took him back to the vet, and then he needed an x-ray. So that was Friday just gone. I had to take him in, and it's heartbreaking leaving him there because he's so scared, you know. He shakes and he has to stay there for the day because they have to put him under sedation to do an x-ray. So that was done, and I went to pick him up at the end of the day and was told that they hadn't found anything on the x-ray, which, I mean, I guess is good. They were x-raying his elbow, his wrist, his shoulder, etc. but sometimes you need a CT scan to see certain things, but they couldn't find anything on the x-ray. They're sending it to a specialist to interpret the x-ray, so I'm waiting for the results of that. But they also told me that they had the results of the lump and it was inconclusive, which means that because of Watson's history with mast cell tumours and because of where it's located, they really need to remove it. And they need to remove it with margins, so they need to do a big surgery. Again, and he's already had 2 major surgeries for tumours, and they're pretty gruesome. I'll put photos in. I don't know whether I've got photos of both. I've definitely got photos of the last one. So if you do not like, you know, the look of wounds and whatnot, look away. But I'll put it in now. They're pretty horrendous. So we needed to have that done as soon as possible. So that is booked in for this Friday coming. And what that means is that Watson is going to be here and recovering. I mean, the whole fact that I need to put him through another surgery is just heartbreaking, but there's no way around it. We need to make sure, we need to find out what this lump is, and if it is another mast cell tumour, get it off and, you know, away. And we can't leave it any longer, unfortunately, because it could be growing and it could make for an even bigger surgery. You know, so his 2 other wounds were so big. We don't know how long that those lumps were there. But it means that he will be here and recovering while the workmen are here doing the kitchen, which is just an absolute nightmare, because Watson is, when he's outside, he's not a barky dog when he's on walks or when he goes with his walker or anything like that. He's a little bit barky in our window if he sees particular dogs. We're not sure what particular dogs, but he sometimes barks at dogs going past. But where he's become really barky is when there is other humans in the house. I think because of, with lockdown and of course with my dad dying, obviously Dad doesn't come round anymore. Kev's parents, there's illness issues which make it hard to drive, and so we don't really have them over any. We probably will at some point. We had them over at Christmas, but Kev drove and got them. But you know, it's he's not used to having people in the house anymore, and so ever since he's been extremely barky with anybody that comes in. He runs up to them and barks right at them, and it can definitely be quite frightening. He's got quite a big bark. You know, I don't believe he would ever bite, but you know, I know all too well you can't ever be 100% sure of that, because you don't know what a dog's feeling, how much pain they're in, or you know what's going on in their brain. They could have some kind of mental disease, you know. So the plan was initially to put him in longer with the walker, so to put him in full days for the first few days at least, so that in the times before and after he went to the walker he could get used to the contractors, and at that point either myself or Kev would hold him. Kev would work from home and we would hold him back, you know, because we could lock him in a room of course, but it's not something either of us want to do. Now, we have met there's 3 contractors coming, so we've got an electrician, a plumber and a joiner. I've not met the joiner yet. The plumber and the electrician were both really good when they came in to do quotes and met Watson, and he was barky, so at least that's something good. But of course he's going to have just recovered from a surgery. So he has the surgery on Friday, they come on the Monday. And normally what we do when that happens is we put our mattress, we take it off our bed and we put it in the living room and we sleep in there, and we close the bedroom door so that he's lying on something where he doesn't have to jump and he won't split his stitches, because they're going to be right under his arm. But I'm not going to do that with the contractors being in the house, because they will walk past the living room. I'll feel really weird sitting on the bed, and so I think I'm going to have to sit in the living room. He's got a bed in there anyway, you know, that he can sit in, or I'll hold myself up in here with Watson and just tell them that they'll need to come and knock on the door if they want us, because if I leave the door open he will jump up, go and bark at them and do himself a mischief, you know. And of course Kev's not going to be here, it's going to be in Rotterdam. So that's the kind of week I've got next week. And with having no kitchen, I've never been in that situation. We've sort of we're keeping our freezer, because we've got a freestanding freezer and we're getting a built-in one, but we're keeping our freezer. We're going to put it in the hall tonight. Is it tonight or tomorrow night? We're going to move it into the hall. And then I'm keeping my air fryer in the living room. I've set up Watson's grooming table. I've got an air fryer and we're going to put the kettle there so we can have a cup of tea and whatnot. And we're just going to eat frozen food that can be cooked in the air fryer, basically, or I am, because Kev's going to be away. We also bought a mini fridge, but there's barely any room in there, and that will be used mostly for Watson's stuff. So his raw food needs to go in there when it comes out of the freezer. His pork that I use for treats, there might be room for something for us. But I was saying to Kev yesterday, I'm just realising a lot of the things that I won't be able to do. We are giving away a lot of the old appliances and even the cupboard doors, because we live in a big apartment block, and a lot of people have still got the original kitchens, and this is an original kitchen, and where they've got damaged doors, they can take our doors and replace them. So yesterday we've had about 4 different people come in and take in particular doors. So one took the dishwasher door, and what that means is that I'm going to be without a microwave. I mean, I would have been without a microwave anyway, because the contractors would have removed it. But I use that for my heat pad for my neck. That's something that does help when my neck is really sore. And I won't be able to use that. I thought about, actually, I must look up and see if I can get a reusable gel one. You can get a water bottle that you fill up. But every review said that people were scalding their hands, so that it was spluttering. And I thought, no, I'm just too clumsy for that. I'll end up burning my hands. So the only thing I think I can do is get a water bottle and kind of lie on it, and also I won't be able to, there's so many things with the fridge, I'm not sure what I'm gonna have for breakfast, and I have my milk, and I think I'm gonna get long life milk, and I'll just have to dry my eyes about it not being cold, so yeah, that's what's going on. And actually I do feel better already just having chatted to you guys, and I also feel a bit silly for being down, but I'm mostly down about Watson. I'm down because I just can't believe we've got to go through this again, that I've got to leave him there, and I'm literally on tenterhooks the whole day waiting for the phone to ring to let me know that I can go and pick him up, and then we'll have to wait and see if the lump is cancerous or not, and then we have to wait for it to be graded if it is, and then we have to wait to find out if he needs treatment, and it's just, we've been through the process and it's heartbreaking. But I just want to get the operation over and, start the healing process for him. But also we were up in the middle of the night with Watson, 2 o'clock this morning, we were up, he wanted to go out, he had an upset tummy. And then this morning when Kev took him out, he was sick, which that's something that does happen with his inflammatory bowel disease. But of course, with him having this lump, you think there could be a connection, and they ask you every time there's a new lump, they ask you, is he sick, is he not? And of course we'd said no, because he wasn't when we first went to check it. So now I'm like, oh God. So I would like it to be July. I'd like to just skip the next couple of weeks, get to July where Watson is fully recovered, hopefully, and the kitchen is in and everything's delivered and sorted, and hopefully I might find some relief for my head as well by then, because I had a phone appointment with my neurologist a couple of weeks ago, and where I'm at is the injection that I've been trying for migraines hasn't worked at all. And so I now need to have 3 months with nothing, because it's called a washout period. And then I can try another injection. And I'm really hopeful about the other injection, because I do know people where Aimovig hasn't worked, but Adjuvant has. So I'm really excited about that. That's not until August. So the end of August, he is going to arrange for the injection to be delivered. I will inject myself, and we'll see how I get on with that. And then I see him in November. In the meantime, he's agreed to try a couple of things, but it's just like sort of little things. Like, for example, he's going to give me, hopefully written to the GP. I need to speak to them next week to check, asking them if they will let me try propranolol. Propranolol is a blood pressure medication, and I'm already on 2 different blood pressure medications, and they wouldn't ever give me propranolol because of supposedly my asthma. But I mean, I don't even get an inhaler from them. I don't really suffer from it, if you know what I mean. I have like the occasional flare up, like maybe once a year. But the GP just wasn't happy giving it to me, because propranolol is not usually given to people with asthma. But the neurologist has said it's absolutely fine, and if I get wheezy, I can stop it. But propranolol, even though it's a blood pressure drug, and the ones that I'm on candesartan and bisoprolol, which is a beta blocker. Actually, propranolol is a beta blocker as well. Are thought to help migraines. The propranolol is the one that has most helped people with migraines, so he really wants me to try this one. So I'm more than happy to try that. So I should be able to try that in a couple of weeks, and you never know, miracles might happen. The other slight bit of hope is he's also going to say that if that doesn't work, or if it makes me wheezy, I could try a low dose of topiramate. And topiramate is something that I have tried before. I'm not keen on trying it again. My husband's not keen on trying it again. I'm sure my best friend won't be keen on me trying it again, because we had we had a couple of lunches where I was just in tears the whole time because the side effects were just really, really unpleasant. And one of them was that I was just emotional, like an emotional wreck doesn't even cover it. I was crying all the time. Now, it was the run up to my dad's wedding and I was really stressed with that, and I don't know whether it was that or the actual drug, but I also got a really dry mouth and I got lots of throat infections. I got, my vision was a bit weird, but he thinks that I went up too quickly in the dose, and that if I was on a very small dose, it might well work for me. And it did actually reduce the migraine. It just made me really tired and emotional and all the rest of it. So there's a little bit of hope in that. There's also hope that any day I could be postmenopausal versus menopausal or perimenopausal or whatever it is. And that can sometimes help women with migraines. Some women get it worse during the menopause, during the perimenopause. Some people, I've had a lot of people on my health channel actually saying to me that as soon as they were postmenopausal, there were no more migraines. So I'm always looking forward to that as well. So there is a little bit of hope. It's just trying to be patient. Can you see Cleo in the background? Cleo the cow. Let me show you. See that? I love that picture. That picture is normally in my hall, but we've moved it because that's where we're going to put the freezer. Oh, do you see these nails? I've got, these are press-on nails. It's so many years since I've used press-on nails, but my nails are bare. I do this about once a year. I like to take everything off my nails and just leave them, but they don't look very nice like that. So I thought, you know what, let me try some press-on nails and see how they affect the nail and how strong they are. I only put them on last night, so I'm not sure yet. These are Kiss ones. I do like short ones, but I have got some really long ones as well that are really, really nice. Anyway, I think I have shared enough problems with you. If you're still here listening, then thank you so much. I appreciate it. And I hope this isn't too depressing. I am normally much more positive about everything. But like I said, I think it's just because it's that 3-month period where I have to wait. And I know that I've got, the hope is a while away, if you see what I mean, for my head, and with Watson and, you know, all the other stresses and whatnot. And I really miss my dad, I have to say. I've really missed him lately, because my sister's sending me photos of her husband who died, as you know, with my dad. And I don't really look at photos, but of course she's sending them to me, and I'm looking at them. And I put his ashes, my dad's ashes, in a little tree at the front of the living room, like outside the living room window. And it's really, really nice. But it makes me think of him more, you know. So thank you so much again for listening. I will love you and leave you. I'll tell you what I've got on makeup wise. I've got on the who's it by? Oh, the KVD Portrait Pro Foundation. It was really hard to get out the tube this morning. On my eyes is the Natasha Denona, I think it's the 05 palette. It's called just one of those little mini palettes. Stila liquid lipstick in Caramello. And on my cheeks is the blush by Morphe called Mighty Mauve. And that's everything. Thank you so much for watching. I'll speak to you again soon.